Welcome back to another episode of Backyard Dynasty. You got your hosts here, Fleet, Fancy, and Scanny. And today, we're going to get into a little bit of week in review for week 8 of the NFL season. Officially at the halfway point, or somewhat at the halfway point, basically. Yeah. So we're going to get into a little bit of best performers, best games, a little bit of fantasy stars here and there. So let's dive right into it. Cam, what do you got first on your list over there for us?
We had a lot of points this week. Specifically in that Philly game. Philly, the Commanders, a shootout. Sam Howell, for some reason, has figured out that Philly defense. The defense is top 5 in the NFL. I think most of us can agree. 2 times this year, Sam Howell going for 30 or more points in standard league scoring against that defense. Right. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Hurts. Everybody got a little piece of the pie this week for the Eagles. Jahan Dotson got active. McLaurin got active. It was a fantasy party.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of points. And I know you're a Terry McLaurin owner, so.
I am a McLaurin owner. He's kind of picked it up a little bit because Howell has finally started to look his way a little bit. Offense is opening up. Like you said, he's kind of figured out the Eagles' defense. He struggled against other teams. We're talking about Howell. But he's really started to figure out the offense, get some better looks, and get his reads down pat. So that's been nice to see. But the other quarterback on the other side, Hurts, sneakily becoming, honestly, the most consistent quarterback in fantasy right now. Literally a guaranteed 20 to 30 points every single week so far. Right. Ever since week 1, I think was his only sub 20 in standard scoring, was his only sub 20 scoring week. Every single week since, he's been a fantasy just staple.
And if they get inside that 1 yard line, forget it. Forget it. It's a rushing touchdown.
That's probably what the highest conversion, highest success rate of a play in the NFL right now.
The tush push.
And especially, though, like in the red zone from the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Like, there's no stopping it. Everyone knows it's coming.
Right.
But they just do it better than everyone else, right?
Yo, they got disrespectful when it was 3rd and 2, and they did a fake tush push.
That was big brain. That was big brain.
That was, yo, I give them their flowers for that. That is so smart. Dude, and they had the Commanders' defense, like their necks broke. Like they were all clamoring towards the middle of the formation, of the middle of the line, and then you just see Swift out the backfield, and everyone's just like, "Oh, there he goes!" Like
it's such a smart play though, because again, like we said, everybody knows it's coming, and then you run some sort of action out like that. And I'll tell you what, if I could see anything happening in terms of outlawing, I could see that becoming outlawed. That if you're going to do the tush push and then fake it and then basically just it's like doing a fake slide like that one college quarterback we saw.
Kenny Pickett, man.
Yeah, it was Pickett, right? I could see them doing like, if you're going to line up and do it, that's the only thing that you can do. I could see the NFL doing that, but I don't think they're going to outlaw anything. They're not going to outlaw anything, though.
Yeah.
It's too far gone now, and the other teams have ruined it because they tried to do it and they sucked at it.
Nobody else can do it.
So they're not outlawing anything, but that was such a big brain play, man.
Yeah.
And of course it burned me because I was playing against Swift in fantasy, but it was like, damn, I didn't even think about that. And it was just such a nice little action out of it. By the way, if you guys see us looking at this laptop right in front of us.
I was just about to mention that.
We're watching the Monday Night Football game. We're actually recording this live during the Raiders and Lions primetime game. So if you see us like locked in on that laptop, just know that that's what we're doing here because we've got a couple fantasy matchups on the line here. Scanny and myself are playing each other, and so we've got a little bit of a matchup going as well this week.
Willie, bro, you mentioned that as like my face cringed. I was like, ooh. You said it, and I'm like, yep, we probably should explain that.
Yeah, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs on this side. I'm also up by 130 points in our league. Sanders scoring about 13. He's got Devontae Adams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yep. We see a catch there.
Khalif Raymond.
For
the parlay.
Getting the first down.
Bruh,
for the Scanny parlay.
If you don't make a comeback, bro, you got this on lock, bro.
Red zone opportunity here for the Lions.
Man,
but
I'm trying out here.
Back on track.
Yeah.
We had another fantasy party.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to go to this.
Santa Clara.
Okay.
Bengals, 49ers. Everybody ate. CMC ate. Kittle ate. Kittle had a big game.
He did.
He had a humongous game.
Yeah. That's what Kittle's capable of doing, by the way. If the Niners decide to use him the way that he can be utilized, it's just that he only steps into that role when there's other people out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only time he ends up balling and having that freedom to run routes and be a pass catcher.
Very casual, 9 for 149. And CMC, I mean, we're not surprised by this, but CMC with another 25-point outing.
Yeah. 17th straight game with scoring an offensive touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that ties the record, right?
Yes.
So if he
Yep.
gets a touchdown next week.
Is that the record?
I think it tied it.
Oh,
I think
It tied it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if next week, if he gets it, man, that's going to be one for the record books. But I am a CMC owner in my other league, and it has been glorious.
We don't talk about that league. We don't talk about the league over here.
I'm
Keep
just
that
saying.
league out of this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We only
I
talk
got
about
some-
the important leagues.
I got some real estate over there, and I'm a Niner fan, so you know it resonates with me. This is my first time I've been able to have CMC, so it is beautiful.
Yeah.
I took him with the 3rd overall pick. Everyone else in that draft was sleeping.
Well, you do have Joe Mixon in this league, and Joe Mixon he found his way to the end
He
zone.
finally got a touchdown.
And he looked good too. He
dog.
looked quick. He looked fast out there.
I'm like,
That was his first
dude.
game that he's done that in pretty much all season.
Right.
I mean, he's had subpar or average weeks every single week, and you're just like, when's that mixing game going to come, right? There's always a little stretch where he'll do like a 4 or 5 game stretch of just really playing really well from a fantasy standpoint.
Jamar
And-
Chase had a great game. One person we haven't even seen all year, and we have another episode coming up. It'll be a little mid-season MVP talk, little mid-season fantasy gods, mid-season disappointments. I'm sure we're going to discuss T. Higgins on that episode.
Yeah.
He finally had a decent game because he's been awful for weeks. I think he had like 59 or 69 receiving yards, 5 catches, which, in a PPR format, you get 10, 11 points. But
He might be one of the players who is the most overdrafted in terms of ADP in fantasy football drafts. But somebody who we haven't seen mostly all year but showed up against the Niners, Mr. Joe Burr. That
Joe
man,
Shiesty.
That man was cooking. He was cutting up the Niners defense. And the Niners defense hasn't been great for a couple weeks now, but he fully exposed them yesterday.
brutal.
It was tough to watch from a Niners perspective, but man, that is a franchise quarterback right there, man. Like the stuff that he does, the reads, the checks at the line, and everything that he brings, he just encapsulates what a franchise quarterback is, man.
Yeah, like football is better when Joe Burrow is healthy and playing. Like it's just all around.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what the league requires. When
Yeah.
you have like the guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, him, like Lamar Jackson, when they're not in the field, the game is not at its peak.
Yeah. No, and that bye week definitely helped. I
Mhm.
feel like that calf is definitely back to full strength. And I
Yeah.
mean, he was running. He looked mobile. So, hey, nice to see Burrow back. He's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. So he's a quality follow on Instagram too, by the way.
I do. I
If
follow
you,
him.
If you don't follow him, quality follow. But
Heck yeah.
somebody else we should really talk about. How about a coming out party? Mr. Will Levis. Throwing absolute bombs, throwing dimes all game, filling in for Ryan Tannehill, matches Ryan Tannehill's touchdown total in the first half from Ryan
Stop
Tannehill's
it.
whole season.
Stop it.
brutal.
Dude,
That's
it's
brutal.
absolutely brutal, man.
Tennessee might have
Ends up
found their
with
guy.
4 touchdowns, right? Ends up with 4 touchdowns on the day. When's the last time a Tennessee Titans quarterback did that since Tannehill showed up, dude?
Right.
I mean, that was rare. And then finally, Hopkins being
Huge
utilized for
game.
the wide receiver for the player he is. So I don't know, man. I could see Levis taking that starting job if he continues to play well. I mean, I think they already mentioned he'll be playing the next game, filling in for Tannehill while he recovers from that ankle sprain. So anything can happen, man. Jobs are very thin in the NFL. All it takes is a couple games.
I don't think Henry was going to move anyways because it seemed like all the chatter there were like, yeah, we're going to keep him anyways. But now it might be real secure that he's not going to go anywhere because if you have Will Levis, it's not the best division in the world. I know
Yeah.
I know Jacksonville's on top over there, but Houston and Indy is not much competition.
Yeah,
So Derrick Henry's probably staying put. R.I.P. Tajay Spears.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, stuff like this game from DeAndre, and we talked about this before the season started on one of the episodes. I can't remember which one now, but the decision that Hopkins made to go to the Titans was so shocking to me. And stuff like this last game is the reason why I was so shocked, because he's still capable of having games like that.
Right.
He's still capable of being a top receiver in the league. And he goes to the Titans, who before Will Levis's game was with subpar quarterback play the whole
Right.
time. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would you make that decision to go there and not go to a team with a much better quarterback? Like he's getting rumored to move at the trade deadline right now for the Chiefs, the Bills, something like that, where he's going to show up, he's going to get looks over there, and the ball's going to be on the money. So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, Will Levis coming out now, maybe that changes things for his fantasy outlook. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, great game from Will Levis.
You mentioned the Chiefs. What happened to them this week?
Yeah.
They lost to Denver.
Yeah.
did.
You want to know what, though? I feel like this has been loading for a while. I feel like the Chiefs have just been they've been like, they're a great team, right? They're a good team, and Mahomes makes them elite. But I feel like if Mahomes has a bad game, they're prone to losing any single game.
Right.
Just because I feel like there's not enough talent, there's not enough supporting cast to actually bring them over the hump in games if he's not having a good one. Like, I feel like this has been loading for a while just because outside of Kelsey, who do they have that consistently performs? Nobody. I mean, maybe Pacheco you could say.
Yeah.
Maybe Pacheco, but I'm speaking more so from a receiving standpoint.
Yeah.
It's just not there. Outside of Kelsey, I mean, you got Valdez-Scantling, who comes and goes every single 3 games.
Right.
You got Christian Watson. Justin Watson.
Yeah,
Justin
Sky
Watson.
Moore.
Sky Moore.
They
These
got
guys,
Hardman back, but
none of these guys have done anything consistently. You know what I mean? So, and I do think they need to get Mecole Hardman more involved now that they have him, by the way. But yeah, it's a tough scene for the KC offense right now in terms of the receiving weapons. And the fact that Mahomes is, 6-2 or
against Denver?
No. What's their record now?
6-2.
I think it's 6-2. I mean, the fact that they're 6-2 with that receiving core outside of Kelsey is crazy.
Harrison Butker in the slot. Honestly.
Right. And they need help. And I think they're going to get somebody at the deadline, honestly. I don't know who, but
Yeah.
I think they need to get someone.
What if Jerry Jeudy to the Kansas City Chiefs?
No, I can see that.
Ooh, that would be
nasty.
That's a good call.
That's like a good middle finger to your team that you just had with the Broncos. Things didn't work out, but I mean, I highly doubt the Broncos would trade them to a division rival.
Yeah.
Especially after they just won, because they're 3-5. It's not like they win 2 games in a row. You're suddenly in the conversation with the wild card.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that would just be icy, because that's the one receiver I know that, like, I don't know if he wants out, but that's been the hottest name before the trade deadline for receivers to get traded. And like, before we move on from this, isn't it so crazy how that the narrative has switched in a way with Kansas City? Like, Kansas City has always been known for their offense, and to this day they probably still are, but most prominently. But like, as of this season, their defense has been playing a lot better than seasons past, and their offense has kind of been underperforming depending on the matchup. But it's just like, for a team that's always known for offense, to see the defense come up and carry some weight, it's nice. So it's just an interesting flip of narrative.
Yeah, and speaking about Jeudy, since you mentioned him, he starts off having a great start to the game. I don't know if you guys saw it. He had like 2 for 50 in like the first quarter or two.
Oh, wow.
Ended with 2 for 50 and a touchdown. Ended with the same stat line you started with.
Javonte saw 27 carries.
He did.
So.
I actually, in one of my leagues, I know we don't really care about other leagues, but I'm going to still bring it up.
No, I was going to say,
I just scolded this boy. I scolded you, not really him. So.
Yep, that's fair. But I actually sat Mostert in that league to play Javonte Williams.
That's a good call.
What a move.
Wow.
That's a bold move, Cotton.
It was very bold. Paid off, Cotton.
ESPN, the Ocho.
Speaking of which, I was wearing that hoodie today at the gym. Did you peep that?
I did see that. Nice.
Yeah, I have an ESPN 8, the Ocho hoodie. That's one of my favorite gym hoodies. Awesome, by the way. It's on Amazon if you guys want it.
Wait,
I'm feeling shocked.
What hoodie was it?
It says ESPN 8, the Ocho on it. You know, like,
have you seen Dodgeball?
All the extreme sports and stuff like that?
I actually have not seen
Well, not
Dodgeball,
extreme sports,
through
but
and
like
through.
the...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like where they do cornhole, professional tag. You know, like that type of that channel.
Dodgeball, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Joni loves judge.
My favorite line from the movie was, "A shocking victory. I'm feeling shocked." Jason Bateman, he's like the color commentator.
There's so many quotables from that.
That gives me
so many
Talladega Nights
quotables.
vibes.
Nobody makes me bleed my own
I was
blood.
just gonna say that one. Yep, exactly. Nobody.
I've seen clips of that movie. It gives me Talladega Night vibes. I love Talladega Nights.
Oh, they're both
God.
great. They're both great.
Ugh. You ain't first, you're last. Like,
Yep.
Another, okay, Mr. Jokey Joke Maker.
yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard
Exactly.
that.
If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
Man, that was prime. The Vince Vaughn and the Ben Stiller mid 2000s comedy. Like, and Will Ferrell, obviously.
Will Ferrell.
Very,
He said, you know, I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence.
I don't
that
know
was
what to do with my
peak,
hands.
man.
What do I do with my
hands? Yep.
Shut up, Grandpa.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Oh, what
right.
what a great little tangent there. We are the show full of tangents.
That's gonna
Speaking
be
of a little shake and bake, how about the wide receivers having a big week this week in fantasy?
That's a good segue.
CD Lamb right there.
Oh, that's what that was.
That was
okay.
that. Yeah, no, that's don't worry. That's
well,
that.
we might as well dive into that since you brought him up. CD Lamb has the best. Oh my lord!
we just dropped it. He dropped it.
we just saw Devontae drop a pass, or did he get deflected?
It was batted by Anzalone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Typical Jimmy.
Credit to Anzalone.
Not accurate. Anyways, going back. CeeDee Lamb, highest point total for a wide receiver in fantasy this week. In our league, he had 330. That would be about 33 points in standard leagues.
Didn't even really play the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I know. If that was a close game, he easily could have pushed 400.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been in the running to break DJ Moore's 420 that he did earlier this year.
Fantasy's so toxic. Brandon Cooks caught a touchdown in the third quarter, and I was like, God, give it a CD. He's got 330 points. I'm like, why are you giving it to Cooks?
Right.
Such a toxic environment.
But also nice to see like Brandon Cooks have a little resurgence. You know,
he's
like
been tossed around. I didn't realize how many teams he's been on.
Yeah, he's been on a lot.
You talking about Cooks right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's been a journeyman. But he's been solid everywhere he goes, though. That's one thing you could say about it. No matter who's been throwing him the ball, he's been really solid, no matter what. Yeah. He's just like that borderline, like 2-3 kind of guy. That's just always there, makes a good play every once in a while. But back when he was really good, he was a baller, man.
Yeah, bro. Like from that 2015 to like 2020, that 5-year span when he was bouncing from the Saints to the Patriots to the Rams, like he was. Whew, that man was on fire.
He was dangerous. He was getting taken pretty high in fantasy drafts as well.
He's an immaculate grid. Usual.
Oh yeah, right.
He fits
exactly.
on a lot of those slots. Him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick's the elite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's tier 1,
bro,
for sure.
I know y'all remember this, bro. Brandon Cooks got clocked in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I remember that.
He got clocked.
Yeah, I remember that.
When the Eagles played the
It was hella
Patriots.
funny too, just because he started like running around like a chicken with his head cut off too. He was like, "Where do I go? Where do I go?" And all of a sudden he like turned around.
Dude, that Super Bowl was incredible too.
That was a great Super Bowl.
Yeah. But speaking of Philly, another receiver that went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Your boy AJ Brown.
Yeah, he was the number 3 wide receiver this week at 27 standard points, PPR points. Who's
number 2?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah,
so we'll get to him. But AJ Brown, somebody who literally is damn near doing this every single week.
That is if
we go all the way back to week 3 here, 17, 32, 16, 16, 23, 27. I mean, that's ridiculous numbers.
That is a man playing amongst boys.
But living up to where he was kind of drafted, though, maybe even exceeding it slightly. I mean, from where he was drafted, I mean, he has brought great value to that early, like maybe late second, early third round turn that he was kind of being drafted at. So, but man, Hurts feeds him too. It helps when your quarterback really makes a concerted effort to get that number 1 wide receiver his looks. You know what I mean?
Well, they went through that little like disagreement on the sideline back in week 1 or week 2, and ever since then it's been AJ's show. Devontae's kind of got thrown in the background. He had a good game this week, but Devontae Smith kind of disappeared there for like 5 weeks straight.
Yeah. He did catch like a late touchdown. Yeah.
AJ went crazy. Another player that quietly just continues to go crazy week after week, and not even in much of a flashy way, is Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
just like quietly he did have a 56-yard touchdown reception this past week.
Yeah.
But every single week.
It's like quietly, but not quietly. It's like he's just one of those people that has such a steady workload that no matter what, he's going to put up points, man. But the fact that he gets into the end zone as often as he does is what really boosts him into that elite status. I mean, we're looking at the number 2 running back right now, averaging 17, 18 points a game, which will probably go up after this week after he put up 23 and a half.
Kind of reminds me of Le'Veon a little bit.
He has that kind of workload where he'll get your 3 to 4 catches a game, and then he'll get 20 plus rushes, and he'll chip away. And that's something that we don't see very often in the NFL anymore. I would say actually Etienne and maybe Henry and McCaffrey, pretty much the only guys that really have like a bulk workload and like can every single touch. They don't have to have that breakaway run, but as long as you keep chipping, they start to get into the flow of the game. They find the pockets. Then they have that big run at the end, right? You know what I mean? So
he's like the quietest top 5 back, and I feel like he's not even talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Etienne is the running back I'd want the most right now.
Yeah,
he's the running back I'd want the most right now, just because of McCaffrey's health history.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that would like make me want to take ETN over him right now, just because of his workload and the fact that he stays healthier more than McCaffrey does. But let's not forget McCaffrey, and I said this a couple weeks ago, he has the highest floor in fantasy in terms of flex positions.
Yeah.
Him and Tyreek, I think, are the highest floor in fantasy football right now. It's like you just plug and play. I mean, you know you're going to get probably 18, 20 points no matter what.
Right.
Every single week.
Even this past week, Tyreek had, I think, 8 for 110 and a touchdown.
He
and
had,
it's
he
just
had
like,
21 and a half.
It's
and
just
it's
like,
like
nobody cares. It's
yeah,
just, you expect
that's Tyreek, right? And then he catches a bomb, and everyone's like, "Finally!"
it. Right.
like
we've been waiting for
there's
that.
the bomb. Yeah, exactly,
Finally.
exactly.
Yeah. But
So
if we definitely had if we had a redraft, like he would definitely be. Would you think is top 5
who?
ETN be a top 5 pick if it was a redraft?
If we were
as
going
today?
off of the numbers that they've put up so far,
Yes.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
absolutely, for sure.
It'd probably be CMC,
Tyreek, ETN,
ETN.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then maybe AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
might be
mean,
AJ.
seriously,
I think. No, I was gonna say
Diggs has
Keenan
got to
Allen.
be. Diggs is definitely up there.
Yeah.
For then Keenan Allen, for me personally, would probably top off the top 5.
Yeah, I mean,
Round
Keenan's definitely there. He's
Keenan's like
definitely
Just
there.
need Kelsey in there maybe too.
Yeah, Kelsey's been good too. But you know what? The thing is, if you're not in full PPR, Kelsey's not as who was that? Oh, God.
He just had like a 35-yard. He just had like
Sick.
a 35-yard
Oh,
gain.
yeah,
Oh, there's a
baby.
flag though.
You might have missed. He had a 35-yard gain. A
I
second.
know.
ago.
I seen it. I seen it. Yeah. But yeah. No, I mean, if we definitely redrafted, E10 would be in the top 3 in my opinion, or at least if I was in the top 3 and I had to take him, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Not
You
at
know what I
all.
mean?
He's been
So-
going nuts.
So yeah, that round. Let's talk about D Hop really quick. We kind of glanced over him, but D Hop having a nice blow up week with Will Levis taking under center, who actually throws the ball more than 10 yards down the field.
Believe it or not.
D Hop still got it, man. I mean, he definitely might have lost a little bit of a step, but he's still a dog, man. And
Yeah.
do you see that double move he put on that guy for the touchdown for the first or second one? I can't remember now, but man, D Hop still got it. He still got it if he gets utilized right. And he's somebody I could see being traded, man. I really do.
By the trade deadline,
I feel like I could see him like being moved.
even with like
I mean, maybe. I mean, there's no guarantee that they're going to stick with Levis, though. I
Right.
mean, he played one
touche.
game. He's going to play the next one. What if the next game he sucks?
How's
You know
that
what I
real?
mean? It's like the thing about the quarterbacks that start their first game is there's no film. There's no NFL film on them.
Right.
So you can't I mean, the Raiders suck. So don't get me wrong. This is not an excuse, but Tyson Badgett or whatever his name just had a great game against the Raiders. And the next game he got absolutely
Yeah, you got dogged. yesterday.
absolutely dogged.
And that Chargers secondary is kind of suspect too. Is it the fact that they're
Yeah.
the ones that dogged him?
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering where
Exactly.
you were going with that when he just because he was talking about quarterbacks and he was just like the Raiders suck and I'm like oh okay we're
Had
just
to preface,
we
right?
just
Just
had-
because it kind of, you got to preface with that always.
like that's my daily affirmation. There you go.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
but yeah, man. Now I mean, do we want to go on to like running backs?
Oh, we can go to
or-
running backs. I was going to touch on quarterbacks first.
See, that was
Lot of
that's
big
what I was
quarterbacks
wondering.
this week.
yeah,
'Cause
a
I was
lot of
gonna-
big quarterback games this week. Let's talk about those really quick. We can start. Let's start with the usual guy who's always putting up points. We can start with Josh Allen. Josh Allen, another 33 points. He's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. He
That was
will
on-
continue to be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy, honestly. I mean, I know I just talked about Hurts having that floor and he's number 2, but man, Allen, he just is a gunslinger, man. He's going to throw the ball no matter what. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to get looks. And I mean, Josh Allen again against Tampa Bay, that was on Thursday night, right? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that was
was
Thursday
Thursday
night.
night.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, there was a little silence there. We were all kind of unsure. But yeah, on Thursday night, I mean, he's putting up 33 points on Thursday night on a game of the week that usually lowers stats for a lot of fantasy players. He lives right up to his projections and outdoes them. So that's Josh Allen. Next one, who's the highest? Let's talk about the guy that Scanny sat this week in fantasy, Sam Howell.
That's
Please.
brutal. That's sometimes you got to follow your gut in fantasy, and you click on a player, and they have this whole little fantasy profile with a video linked, and it's somebody from ESPN or whatever you play saying, "Oh, be cautious with this player this week because they might, blah 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 blah." And so you take your intuition and you put it aside because the so-called experts. In this case, it was Daniel Dopp, so I should have known better.
Daniel
I should have known
Wait
better.
a minute.
It was a whole
Just
little video
catching
about
strays.
So no offense, Daniel Dopp, but
Full offense, Daniel Dobb.
Full offense, yeah.
You're the new Matthew Berry.
Honestly.
We ignore everything you say.
I mean, you would think so.
But I love me some Field Yates.
Like I said, Field Yates nice.
Field Yates is
Sam
nice.
Howell went crazy versus Philly a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And they always say lightning doesn't strike twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of thinking, okay, Sam, and he's had a lot of good games, but he's had some stinkers too. He had one game where he had 2 points. Yeah, I think it was against Buffalo, actually.
Yep,
he had 4 picks and like 120 yards, no
170
touchdowns.
yards, 4 picks.
Yeah. So he's had a couple games where you're a little cautious about playing him. So I figure lightning doesn't strike twice.
Yeah.
I rolled with Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence in the rain didn't produce a whole lot.
Yeah. It was just a tough move.
It's-
But you know what? Sam Howell, sneaky number 8 at the quarterback position. A really good campaign for Sam Howell so far. And if you took out that third week
Like top
and
5.
replaced it with his average, I mean, he'd be top 5 right now, which is crazy to think. But yeah, I mean, 39.3 points in our league in terms of standard, 397 yards, just shy of 400, 4 touchdowns, and 11 yards of rushing. 52 pass attempts against a Philly defense.
That's the
That's
most on the
insane.
week. Sheesh.
That
Yeah.
is insane, man.
God.
Eric Bieniemy just air it out. Just air it out.
I mean, he had to though. I mean, against the Eagles, you
Yeah.
got to put up points, man. I mean, the fact that they put up 31 points and still lost.
Right.
That's,
I mean, if you put up 31 points, you have a pretty good chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
Really good chance of winning. So, but yeah, let's talk about the next one. Next highest, a rare showing as of late, Mr. Dak Prescott with a 36 points. You guys touch on that really quick. I'm going to make sure this camera's still good on the lighting.
yeah.
But Dak against the Rams, 43-20, a blowout.
Yes. Went 25 for 31, throwing for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns with 1 interception. And like, I think this is like, would you say this is Dak's most impressive game throughout the
Yes,
season? Because like, I did not expect him to just take control and just start hard out the gate, really, for the entire Cowboys roster, or their whole team, because they started fast, they started hot, and they stayed dominant throughout the entire game. Like, you think there'd be a momentum shift around like halftime, like when they come out? Nah, they came out and they had control of that game through and through. They were piping down LA.
And he might have done more because, oh, man. Wham!
Is it
Ooh, man.
43-20, dog? Like,
Yeah, that's a dogging.
I know it's not pitiful. Like, we've seen worse scores, but I'm just like, dude, it's just the way
That was a
the
blowout.
momentum was that entire game. You just did not feel any type of hope for LA.
He might have done more, too. Deron Bland had a 30-yard pick six, and then they took Cooper Rush was playing most of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So Dak, impressive game, and they didn't even really utilize the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the biggest thing with Dak. Don't get me wrong. He's a good quarterback. Emphasis on good. But like
he ain't great.
when you have the defense that you do, when you get into these crunch time moments, dog, like when you put it on your quarterback's shoulders to win you the game, is he going to show up?
Yeah.
That's just the monkey on his back through his entire career. That's been what it was. Like, can you go out and win a game? But, he had a good week this week. So I'm not going to take that away from him.
Yeah, we can give him his flowers for this week at least, right?
Indeed.
But speaking of flowers, let's. There's a moment that needs to be had here at Backyard Dynasty because we are all such big fans of a man called Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And that man blew his Achilles out today or this week, and we're all very hurt. We're all very hurt and broken here at Backyard Dynasty, especially because we just called him out on the last pod about how much we loved him. So for a nice little 5 seconds, the BD crew is going to have a nice little moment of silence for Kirk. Speedy recovery, Kirk. We want to see you on another season of quarterback eventually. And if you're done in the Vikings uniform, you were great for them. So none of us are Vikings fans here, but he's probably very respected in Minnesota. So speedy recovery.
Too, because there was a portion of that show, a little like a scene on one of the episodes. He was taking us through his quarterback room with the accolades and this and that jerseys. And he goes, I got this one space here.
For a Lombardi.
For a Lombardi. Hopefully I get to put it, one day, put it right there. I don't know if that day's coming, Kirk. I don't know. This did not help your case.
This did not help, but also I don't think he was ever going to win one in Minnesota. So, you know what I mean? Kirk's like that guy he has to have like the right team dynamic around him. He's a really good quarterback.
if the Brock Purdy insanity runs coming.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Shanahan would rather have Cousins over Purdy.
Yeah.
But now he's got he's got no Achilles, so he definitely don't want him now.
Don't want him anymore.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Kirk. So our thoughts go out to you, Mr. Kirk, Captain Kirk.
And long
Captain
live the
Kirk.
value of Jordan Addison.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess that's something to talk about as well. Is
Yeah.
the hit of the value on not only Addison and Jefferson, but Hawkinson. Hawkinson's been eating this year, especially with Kirk these last few weeks without Jefferson. And man, that takes a big hit to one of the best tight ends. Makes the tight end group even thinner now in fantasy value. My goodness, dude. It's like Laporta and Kelsey.
Yeah, and occasionally Andrews.
Yeah, occasionally Andrews, and then like when both hamstrings are okay, Waller.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, dog,
Dude.
that screwed me over this week. But, hopefully the talent of all of these skill players and receivers will show that they're quarterback proof. So fingers crossed, but they do got a rookie behind Kirk Cousins. So we'll see how they pans out for their season.
Yeah, we will see. But let's talk running backs really quick, yeah? Talk running backs.
Can I just throw out like the most absolutely insane Hail Mary trade idea of all time real quick?
Please. Let's hear it.
Minnesota. Kyler Murray? Because it's kind of clear to me that they're tanking for Caleb Williams because they're 1-6, 2-5, somewhere in there. I'm not sure what the record is. But Kyler was supposed to play this week. And they were like,
they're 1-7, by the way.
Yeah, they were like, you know what? Let's actually have a rookie quarterback play. Not you, Kyler. We don't want you to.
Well, they also took into consideration their schedule, too, of the teams they would have to play. Because they'd have to play. Imagine being Kyler Murray coming back from, like, what was it, an ACL?
Yeah.
You have to come back and play the Baltimore Ravens. And then the following week, who do they play this week? I can
tell you right now.
Please tell me.
But yeah, that's a little. That's a Hail Mary trade.
Arizona plays the Browns this week.
Yeah,
that's
in
tough.
Cleveland.
Two stout defenses
Yeah.
like that. That's
Yeah,
a business.
none of
move.
those are games you want to come back to.
Not
yeah,
at all.
that's definitely
Just
a business. move.
Miles Garrett on post Halloween in your first game back. Watch out.
A
Yeah, but I
player of
mean,
the
right
year,
now-
low key.
Oh,
I'm calling
not
it.
low key. He's solidified.
Yeah,
he is the depoy right now. There's no question about that.
Woo-wee.
He's having a season to remember, man. And Garrett's always been elite, but man, the stuff that he's doing so far halfway through the year is just unbelievable.
He's
man.
nasty.
Can you pull up Garrett's stats for me really quick? I want to see how many sacks and stuff he's got. But
Dog.
by the way, Caleb Williams sweepstakes 1-6 Panthers and 1-7 Cardinals. If you're the Panthers, and we've talked about this, I think, on the last episode, just very briefly. Do you take Caleb Williams if you get that first pick, even though you just drafted Bryce Young?
I don't think so.
Or is it too
No.
early to give up on him?
It's too early, and it's kind of insulting to Bryce Young, but then also kind of makes your organization like, what are you doing with your draft capital if you're just gonna blow it off like this? Not necessarily that you're not getting value from Caleb Williams, but it's like you're not. If you do that, you instantly take away any confidence you have in Bryce Young. You have him questioning himself, and it's like, why did they draft me if they were just gonna make this play? And then you can go out if you have the first overall pick, go get a D end. Go get someone like a game wrecker for your defense. Like that's what someone on the other side of Brian Burns, dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
But we'll see if they even keep Brian Burns. That's the thing, right? I mean, he was in holdout just going into this year, right? Did they franchise tag him?
I have no clue, to be honest. I feel like they did. I remember hearing his name in the offseason, little controversy and whatnot.
But so that's what we got this week.
But just because you asked, here are Myles Garrett's numbers for this year. He's played 7 games, total of 24 tackles on the season, 18 solo tackles, 6 assisted. I mean, obviously that's simple math. But he has 8.5 sacks. He has 4 forced fumbles, and what is a PD?
Pass defense.
Pass defense. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, dude, almost to double digits already halfway through the year is crazy.
Yeah, dude.
And it's not like he did it across one game like Khalil Mack had 6 against the Raiders one week. It's like spread out. He's gotten a couple here and there throughout the game. So he's just consistent game wrecker, man.
Dude, there's one game we haven't talked about, and for good reason, honestly. But I want to mention this game.
Historical in the worst way, right?
Yes, the Battle of New York.
Oh yeah, that was greasy.
What the hell happened there?
That was greasy.
Yep.
Basically, Flock Fantasy is another channel on YouTube that covers fantasy, and it's run by a guy named Mason Dodd. He put out a tweet that I resonated with a lot. And I'm not even a Saquon fantasy guy. I've never had him in fantasy. I like Saquon. He's a cool guy. The tweet said, either trade him to a real team or pay the man. One of the two. The Giants are not a real football team. what you saw last year with Daniel Jones pre-contract with that defense that was supposedly good, they are a terrible football team. They had Tommy DeVito, might as well be Danny DeVito, playing quarterback last week. He was 2 for 7 this past Sunday. He was 2 for 7 passing, -1 yards. Saquon, 36 carries for 128 yards. Pay the man if you're going to give him 36 carries a game.
Yeah.
You know what happens to guys that have 36 carries a game? They get hurt, and then they can never get paid again.
Yep.
Was it Cam Chancellor? Was that who it was that got hurt and then flipped off Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, dude,
was it him or Earl Thomas?
It's just so tough,
Cam.
though. But this is why they're holding out for those extra couple millions, because you never know when your last game is going to be as a running back.
I mean, that's why he wanted that 900,000.
I mean, hey, 900,000, 900,000. Don't get me wrong, but to make a whole holdout and have a Zoom call over a bonus that you may or may not hit is crazy.
Right.
But it's still warranted. I mean, certainly.
That's why you get that 900,000.
By the way, update on Scanny and Fleet game: 2090 for Scanny, 2011 for Fleet.
Amon-Ra woke up.
79-point difference, and Devontae has 0 points.
Yeah.
Dog, what?
He has 0 points.
Yeah, 1 target, I thought maybe 2, but yeah.
He's got 2 targets.
Amon-Ra had 80 yards in the last drive. Every play was Amon-Ra.
The Raiders are just doing Devontae Adams so greasy.
Dude,
Start giving it back
you know
to
what?
Jameer.
You know what, bro? I'm finally to the point. Trade him.
Talk about a trade
Trade
deadline.
him.
They need to move him.
I am a huge Raider fan, but bro, Devontae's my favorite player in the NFL. Get rid of him, man. They are wasting his good years, and we're not gonna make the playoffs. If we do make the playoffs, we're gonna make the wild card. We're gonna lose, dude. It's not worth free him, send him somewhere where he's gonna win, where he's gonna add to his career stats. Free the man. He doesn't need the Raiders curse anymore, man. He did enough for us last year, dude.
Where would he even go?
I was gonna say,
because I'm realistically trying to think. Because they're not gonna give him to KC, right? No chance.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
That
at
would be
these
the most ideal place, though.
Yeah,
Imagine
right.
if Devontae
That
went to
would
the
be
to the Chiefs,
insane.
bro.
Oh, that's a cheat code, dog.
I'm trying to think. AFC North, the Bengals are already stocked up at receiver.
That's like when KD joined the Warriors.
Yeah.
For real, having Kelsey and Devontae, bro,
It's
would be
disgusting.
disgusting.
Yeah, but most realistic situation and most prosperous situation for him to get traded to.
I don't even know. I haven't thought about this, but just send him anywhere.
honestly,
As his fantasy owner, bro, please.
I'm trying to
Just
think
send him.
the only team I can literally think of that would make even a tiny bit of sense, maybe Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, give him a real number 1 receiver. I know they got
Maybe.
Calvin Ridley, but
I mean, they're
Maybe.
6-2, so they have and they traded a first-round draft pick for Calvin Ridley.
Send him to
too.
the Bengals. Do a T. Higgins for Devontae swap and
Can you imagine
whatever,
Chase
something
and,
like
oh my
that.
God.
Chase and Devontae would damn near be the best wide receiving duo that we've seen for a few years.
That would be disgusting.
Best receiver duo since Tyreek and Jalen Waddle.
Alien on the low though.
Waddle balled this week,
He
man.
did ball this week.
What if Devontae went to Baltimore?
I can't see
No?
them trading for.
I don't want him to
Devontae.
go. I don't want him to go to Baltimore. I can't, dude. I
thought
can't
about
do
that
it.
too. I can't picture for some reason Lamar a true number 1 receiver. I feel like they wouldn't utilize him the right way.
Yeah, true. Because that makes sense.
I feel like he always feeds different people. It's Zay Flowers 1 week. He tries to feed Odell, but Odell just it's over, man.
Odell is washed, dog.
It's over.
Man, that's tough to see too. Just because I liked Odell when he was blowing up in New York, and he added a little fun aspect to it with the celebrations and just kind of the swag that he carried. But man, that fall off is quick. But to be fair to him, he's had a couple tragic injuries. So
Yeah, he has.
what are you gonna do, man? Sometimes NFL careers are over tomorrow. You know what I mean? So, but he had his shine. He won a Super Bowl.
He did.
And by the way, I think he was on. I mean, a lot of people say this, but he was on his way to damn near an MVP that game.
He was having a great game.
He was balling, man, before that injury. So, but yeah, I mean, we covered most of the ballers this week. That's week 8 in review. This is another episode of Backyard Dynasty. We appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We're now live on Instagram too. Really been blowing up there. Actually got a shout out from Scott Hansen. So shout out to Scott Hansen from Red Zone, Mr. Red Zone himself, Mr. 7 Hours. And we're going to talk about a little bit of mid-season awards on the next one, a little mid-season review. So stick with us. Stay locked.
We need a send-off. I think we need, in honor of Scott Hansen, I think you need to send us off with a Scott Hansen call.
Do you want me to do it like it's starting now?
Yes.
Or
No, we need it. 3, 2, 1.
7 hours of commercial-free football starts now.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yee.
See ya.